jumping on with me for Woke Wednesday. Feel free to type in. I don't know that I'll see it though because the light is like really bright. But feel free to chat in with me. Thank you so much. It's Woke Wednesday and thank you for jumping on with me tonight. So the title tonight, Defining. So we had, obviously today, we had what we can call a defining moment in our country's history with, the inauguration of Kamala Harris as our first female vice president. And so I know that that's been lighting up all over people's feeds and stuff like that. That's amazing. Earlier this week, we celebrated someone who is a defining character in our country's history with Martin Luther King Day. And hi, John. Hi, Henry. And so I, just wanted to talk about defining, but instead of talking about people or things that are defining our country, I want to talk about defining you. And so first I want you to think about what are some of the things that define you. Now, see, some people let their past define them. And that's a real dangerous thing. And there's a saying that, there's a reason that the front windshield is bigger than your rear view mirror, right? Because you're supposed to focus on what's in front of you, not what's behind you. But some people will unfortunately let their past define them. Sometimes people let their jobs define them. So you might define yourself based on, for example, a role that you play. So at work, what role do you play? Are you a supervisor, a manager? Are you frontline worker? Are you a healthcare worker? Those types of things. And sometimes that's part of what defines us. Sometimes our role within our family. Are you a mother? Are you a father, a son, a daughter, a sister, a brother? All of those kinds of things. Sometimes that's part of what defines us. And I like to look at defining ourselves. I think that we're all like trees and we have a very detailed root system underneath the surface. So there's all sorts of things that define us, but I just want you to start thinking about what's defining you. It could be some of your beliefs, whether those are your religious beliefs, your political beliefs, just spiritual beliefs outside of religion, those types of things. What are some of those things that might define you? It might be something that you support. So for example, maybe I live in Colorado, but I'm not a Broncos fan, but maybe you're a Broncos fan, right? And that might be part of what defines you. I have to tell you guys, a while back, I kind of removed myself from defining myself by a lot of these things. So back, we'll say, about 12 years ago or so, I remember I removed a bumper sticker off my car, and it was one of those magnet ones, not like an actual sticker, but I removed it off of my car, and my dad asked me, well, why'd you take that off your car? And I said, because that's not what defines me. Right? I have a Chicago Bull tattoo on my arm, and it's actually one that I want to get covered up because, again, I don't want that to be the thing that defines me because that's not who I am, right? But some of those things might be things that define you. It might be something that you do. So, if a person's super into fitness, that might be something that defines them. So aside from what defines you, who defines you? Now, here's the thing. Every person that you have interaction with, your family members, your friends. Hi, Ashley. Your family members, your friends, people that you just meet, people that you meet through work, all of those kinds of things. Those people are going to define you based on their interactions with you. But the more you understand who you are, the more you have defined yourself, then the more you're able to help create that definition in other people's minds. In other words, I'm a heart-centered person. And so, I'm out there constantly, complimenting people, trying to make people feel better about themselves, trying to inspire people, motivate people, all of those kinds of things. That's who I am. That's how I live every day. But if how you define yourself and how you're acting, how you're behaving, how other people are seeing you or interacting with you, then those two things don't mesh, right? And so your definition of yourself is not strong enough. And in my work world, we would call this branding ourselves, right? I have a whole workshop that I teach about branding yourself for the purpose of job search and your career. But outside of that, as a whole person, how and who defines you? And again, ultimately, you have to define yourself. So, when you go through some of these, the way you define yourself should ultimately really guide then how you're going to act, how you interact with other people, the things you spend your time on. See, I know that if I say that I'm like an educated person who, in my mind, I'm telling myself, I define myself as this educated person, and I'm driven and I'm motivated, but I spend 90% of my time outside of work on the couch watching Netflix, it's not meshing up, right? So either I have to pick one or the other, because they don't always mesh. And I'm not saying you can't, I say this all the time, I'm not saying you can't sit on the couch and watch Netflix sometimes. But if my definition of myself is I'm motivated and I'm driven, am I behaving that way? Because if we have internal conflict with our behaviors and how we define ourselves, then that internal conflict is going to spread outside, right? And people are not going to see what we're trying to define ourselves as. And so I think it's really important to think about how you define yourself, and are you behaving in that way so that other people, if you talk to other people, would they define you that same way? So I just want you to close your eyes before we're done today. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to think of something that you want to achieve in your life that will be a defining moment for you. So like I said earlier, we had a defining moment in our country's history today. We celebrated a defining character in our country's history earlier this week. So I want you to think of something that you want to define you in your future, right? Something you haven't achieved yet. That might be, for example, maybe you're not married and you want to get married. Maybe you don't have children and you want to have children. Maybe it's a career switch. I know that for me, something I really want to do at some point in life is I want to do a TED Talk, right? I want to be on a bigger platform, being able to talk to people and encourage people and all of those types of things. Maybe it's you want to be an author, whatever the case may be. Hi, Kathy. So think about something that you want to define you in your future. Maybe that's, you want financial freedom. You want to create some kind of wealth that you can pass down for your whole family. Maybe it's you want to pay off your parents' house, whatever the case may be. But think about something that you have not yet achieved that you want to define you in your future. And as you get that idea in your head of something that you want to do, we could call this a legacy. It's something that you want to, leave as a legacy. But what do you want to define you? And as you think about that, I really want you to feel what that would be like. I really want you to get what would the feeling be like? Let's just say it was paying off your parents' house. What would that feel like to be able to do that? I want you to envision that. Like, imagine walking up to your parents, sitting down with them. Maybe I don't know how you are, but maybe you act like you have bad news to break to them or something, and then you trick them, and you, hey guys, there's something going on, and hey, I paid off your house, right? I want you to envision what that would be like. Envision, if it involves other people, envision how that's going to affect other people. Envision what their reaction's going to be. And I really just want you to feel that. I think that it's so important when we're trying to manifest what we want out of life. And so as you've got that picture in your head, as you've got that feeling in your heart of what that would be like to achieve this defining moment in your own life, now I want you to think about, are you working towards that now? What are you doing to work towards that now, right? I've got so much stuff in my head right now because I've been watching so much about investing. And so like there's just all this information going on in there. And so it's one of those things where I've spent a good amount of time going, this is something I'm going to do, right? This is something I'm doing. And I know that I'm doing it because I'm taking actions towards it. So that's my message for tonight. Define yourself. Don't let other people define who you are without having control over how you define yourself. Because in our world, we will put definitions on other people, but any definition that somebody puts on me that I know is not true to my character, I'm not going to listen to. It's not going to bother me one bit. You have to be strong in defining yourself. So that's it. I hope everybody is having a blessed week. I'm sorry I had to change the time tonight. I've got a mandatory basketball mom meeting, a basketball parent meeting, and they scheduled it at the time I normally do my Woke Wednesday. So I have to, I have to run and jump on a Zoom senior year basketball, COVID, right? Crazy. Thank you, Ashley. Hi, Doug. Thank you as well. All right, guys, thanks for jumping on. And until next week, who knows what the message will be next week. Until next week, dream big, but live bigger. Bye, guys.